now let's give the people some like tips about day in the life. You are about to be going to some Christmas markets. What should you expect in terms of how to structure your day? When should you be going to the Christmas markets? What should you expect in terms of the crowd level? What should you expect in terms of how to keep warm?
So I run very hot, and if I'm drinking a hot beverage, I don't care about that. So I'll let you take that one. The first thing I will say is check schedules before
Oh, this is a good
both
tip, yeah.
before you go, like before you plan
book.
that trip. Before you plan the trip, and then also when you're there, different markets will have different starting times.
Yeah.
Some may be evenings only, some may be weekends only. So check schedules, but also check the calendar as well. So some start as soon as Thanksgiving or American Thanksgiving, and but some we were in Ghent, Belgium, back in 2019, and we were there maybe December 8th or so, and the market had opened like the day we got there. So shorter season, almost many of them, I would say, outside of the biggest cities, London, London, Paris, Amsterdam, many of them are going to end on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, like Christmas Eve. Like that is the hard stop. Unlike in the US where you sort of have this like spillover into New Year's.
This is also why you should check, because in Central Europe, a lot of them will also sometimes go until January 6th, which from like a European standpoint, this is not an American thing so much, but because they follow more of the like religious calendar than the kind of commercial calendar here in Europe, two holidays that are not as big of a deal in the States, but they really matter to the Christmas season here. One is December 6th, St. Nicholas, which I think that's why you were in Salzburg. And then the other one is January 6th, the Epiphany. So that's like the hard stop, the final kind of day of the Christmas season. So there are a couple of...
The 12 days of Christmas.
Yeah, there are a couple of markets that will even go that far. I think these are mostly like Danube markets, like Bratislava and Budapest are some of the ones that go that long.
So number one, check schedules for sure. Speaking of crowds though, and your experience in the markets, it will be a lot less crowded during the day. If you're a tourist, you're visiting, so obviously you're not coming, you're not there to work. It's going to be less crowded during the day. The trade-off is you're not getting the magic of the lights, and that is incredibly special and it should be experienced. But if you're wanting to see different parts of the city or different markets within a city, maybe it's a good opportunity to do a day trip. This is one thing that I think is really cool about these markets, is that they are truly for the locals themselves and embraced. It's not something like Times Square in New York where it's just tourists. You will see tourists in there, and as we've discussed, there are more and more people going, but people in Europe will go after work and meet friends, have a drink, have a bite to eat. It really is a communal, social experience for the people that live there and embraced by the people that live there.
And I would say one thing to keep in mind about this, here in Germany, for example, I always joke about the German Saturday. You have to get a ton of stuff done because stores are closed on Sunday, right? So that means that shopping on a Saturday in Germany is a very busy, hectic thing, because you've got everyone doing it on the same day instead of like in the States where you can spread it out over 2 weekend days. The other dynamic that you have, everybody who lives just outside of the big city comes into the city on Saturday. So it's just like a very busy thing. That dynamic absolutely applies to Christmas markets as well. So if you are looking at your itinerary and you're going to be in a city for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you know that you don't want to go to the market all 3 days, just sacrifice that Saturday. Go do something else. Don't worry about going to the market, because those are the days where it is like shoulder to shoulder. It's way too crowded. Evenings during the week, like Monday through Thursday, those are prime times to go. You still get that like evening kind of feel, but it's not going to be as crowded with locals or local out of towners.
And it's not going to be dead. Like it's going to be, it will be busy. And because I remember talking about Strasbourg, can't get you out of my mind. I was trying to structure another trip potentially and thought about, it's so festive. You feel like you want to save it for the weekend or whatever, because you want to kind of And in my mind, I was like, absolutely not. It is going to be busy every night. Just take the day off, go have a nice dinner. I remember when we were in Marienplatz in Munich. I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder. I can't remember. I think that was either Friday night or Saturday night. Friday. It was the weekend. And Marienplatz was truly shoulder to shoulder.
The big markets are absolutely enterprises. Like, I don't know if they're owned by the city, but like, it's a lot of money. It's a huge production. But like a lot of the smaller markets, like that medieval market that we went to, I don't claim to know who is putting it on, but like that is kind of a small business enterprise. And there are so many throughout the city. So like, challenge yourself to go see something that's a little bit different. Where do you find these things, right? Obviously, the city's main like tourism website is going to break down the different markets. But honestly, like Reddit is so good for this. Like Reddit, just Google like Reddit Munich Christmas markets, and you'll start to see like local people that have visited before, like having real chatter about like what was their favorite market. So I think that's another kind of like tip if you're looking for these things, how to find them.
One other thing just about logistics is bring cash. I think it's one of the places where, as Europe has, in different places in Europe, and this is something you and I talk a lot about and kind of comparing places in Europe. Yeah, exactly. As someone who literally could not give away cash in both London and Stockholm, it is still extremely cash heavy. Especially, I've found Austria itself to be still very cash dependent, relative to other countries. France is still very cash dependent as well, relative to other countries.
The major qualifier is like, if you're in a city, you're going to have more leeway, but I promise you, the second you need like a coffee or a water from a small kiosk, it's cash only. And the other big qualifier, as Smith alluded to, the Nordics are so like in their own world on this. Do not get cash out if you're in Sweden, Norway, Finland, or Denmark, because you will not be able to give the money away.
Or the most digital society in Europe, which is Estonia.
If you're a currency buff and like you want to take some money out of the ATM and take it home and put it in your scrapbook, that's wonderful. But I still have like Swedish krona that I can't give away.
At least in Estonia, it's the euro. So you can, if you did take it out, you could always use it somewhere else. I found that the markets, even in cities that are otherwise quite digital, the markets themselves, it was worth having. You will have merchants that will have the handheld devices to do a transaction. And sometimes they'll give you a discount if you have cash,
Along with money, this whole cash thing, let's talk about pfand really quickly and the best souvenirs that you can get in Europe, which are the mugs from Christmas markets.
I brought my very own. I brought just a few.
I have that mug. I have
this one. This one must have been from Munich. Yeah.
Munich,
I couldn't. It doesn't say it on here, which is sort of a bummer. But
pfand system is like a German system. We say pfand deposit. And anytime you get like a bottle, like a plastic bottle or something, they put like 10 cents on your bill, and then you take that bottle and you can get that 10 cents back. It's the exact same thing at the Christmas markets. You'll buy a like glühwein for, let's say it's €4, and then the pfand, or the deposit that you pay for the mug, is €1 or €2. And then what many people do is they just take the mug home, and then for like €1 or €2, you have this delightful little souvenirs. This is also why you should stick with cash. Smith and I were just in Antwerp, and we like ate at an outdoor festival, and like the pfand system, they printed me off a receipt and they said, go to this app to get your money back. It was like €6 worth of pfand. But like, this is the other reason why, even if you have a choice between cash and credit, cash is going to help you out with the pfand system, because they'll just give you a chip, you bring it back along with the mug.
Or you bring your mug back and you get another one. You get another glühwein.
How many did you end up going home with last time?
My husband is an avid collector, and because you get this really wide variety, we're talking about the mugs at the Christmas markets where you get your hot beverages, traditionally glühwein. We also saw there's There's what are some of the other? Kinder Punch is a non-alcoholic.
Glue beer is the one that you had. I have this like
With-
amazing video of you going, my first glue beer, taking a sip, and then going, and my last. The one that I always recommend to people is a drink called a Feuerzogenbolle. Anyway, it's a glühwein, but they take like a rum drenched sugar cube and they light it on fire, and then the caramelized sugar like drips into it. That's a really good one. The other thing that I have noticed is that Aperol, again, we're talking about like tourism businesses trying to like capture the fourth season. Aperol is really trying to make hot Aperol a thing. So you'll probably find hot Aperol. Glühwein has come a long way. It used to just be like a red wine with, you know, the mulled wine spices in it, but you can now get red, rosé, white glühwein. You've got your hot chocolates, your spiked hot chocolates, and your Eier punch, or like the European answer to
eggnog. I will say though, my poor mother, who loves hot chocolate was way less common than I expected.
Really?
Like, she's not a big glühwein person, and so she was, I think, really excited about just steaming mugs of cocoa, and it was so much less common. You could find it, maybe it was just where we were. I feel like other more in like Switzerland and Belgium and France, like, or places that have like a real chocolate tradition, would probably see more of that. I didn't see nearly as much of it in Bavaria and Austria as I was expecting. So that was interesting. Yeah, the glühwein, the hot drinks are a huge part of it. The mugs are great. Leave space in your bag. Ideally you want one that has the name of the place on it. This little one from Vienna has Maria Theresienplatz with the Kunsthistorisches Museum. Even better if they have the date, and you can really get one that captures the essence. But not digging the mug, you can just get your money back. What's that?
Do you have a favorite shape? Because I love the like bulbous one. Anyway, I don't know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't. I love them all.
Just a couple tips. Smith already said that he runs hot, so he doesn't have any tips for how to stay warm. I'm the complete opposite. I love going to Christmas markets, but sometimes it is so incredibly cold out that you're like, how am I going to stay warm and actually be able to enjoy all of this? So my tip, and it's made infinitely easier now that jean trends have kind of moved away from skinny jeans, but just like a pair of long johns under your jeans is a huge hack. Obviously you can like layer with sweaters, but people often forget layering on the bottom. So that's my tip. You may also have seen these like fleece lined leggings that all the girls like got a few years ago. I don't like them. Just wear like pants or something. And on really cold days, I have even worn my like Bogner ski pants to the Christmas markets. So the good news is that once you're like in a crowd of people, it tends to be not so cold. We have one Christmas market here in Frankfurt that's like on the roof of a parking garage, and I just remember being up there and it was windy and just like, I'm so cold.
Something about like sort of planning a trip that I didn't really clock as much. We took our parents, my husband and I took our parents on a trip last year, flew into Vienna, then did Salzburg, and then finished in Munich. And it was about 6 nights, 3 nights and 4 nights, or 4 nights and 3 nights. And I think that was a great amount of time. I'm not going to say they're diminishing returns, but the food and drink, it's hearty, it's often quite sweet, it's heavy, it's boozy at times, depending on, I actually think a 5-day long weekend, essentially, if that's your speed to travel. With our parents, we wanted to take a full week and bookend it with 2 weekends to give them some recovery time. And I think that worked really well. My dad really liked, and even though Salzburg is not a small town, relative to Vienna and Munich, which are regional or national capitals with huge institutions and city blocks and squares, Salzburg did feel very small. The town center felt very small by comparison. And my dad really enjoyed it. He was like, oh, I think Salzburg was my favorite. And what it said to me, or kind of what it made me think would be really valuable in planning a trip, is having a mix of a city and then the smaller town, and kind of being able to kind of see that. I think a lot about when we went to Rudesheim in outside of Frankfurt along the Rhine, and just how it's such a different vibe. If I were doing that same trip over again, I would have probably planned maybe one more smaller town outside of the bigger city, maybe a day trip, or added a day to do a day trip. So I'm thinking, I know Alsace has a ton of really small villages. Colmar is quite famous nowadays, and it also has like a famous altarpiece in the cathedral there. But there are a lot of other tiny little towns in Alsace. I'm not going to think of the names of them right now. They're truly towns you've probably never heard of, that have really festive Christmas markets that are a draw from Strasbourg. And so I think that's a really fun way, is to mix big city, small town. And it can just be a day trip with train networks and Ubers and cars and stuff. Most markets are, because it's dead of winter or kind of peak winter, it's going to get dark around 4 o'clock or so. So you're going to be able to have that real kind of magical evening, have a meal, walk around, get something to eat, and be done by like 7-8 o'clock, which is kind of lovely if you've had a long day. So you could actually still hop on a train and make it back to wherever you're staying or wherever you're based. So that's my one thing I really want to plug, is sort of the mix. I love cities, and I like the bustle, and I like the variety, as we've discussed. But it was really interesting to get that feedback, and also to, in the way that we've experienced some of those really smaller towns and how they put on just as big of a show. I mean, I'm thinking of that really beautiful nativity that was in Rudesheim, that was like gorgeous, like carved nativity. There was that little like performance.
So glad you mentioned performances, because I feel like this is the one thing that you and I are maybe not so into. When you're researching Christmas markets, one of the things that they are often kind of talking themselves up for, choral performances. I think that is such a beautiful, wonderful way to take in the Christmas season as well. Something I'm trying to get better about for this year is like going to a place that has a great Christmas market, but also like checking in with the local theater or the ballet, because at the same time, so many of these places are also doing like Swan Lake or the Nutcracker. And that is just like, we talked about how Saturdays at these big Christmas markets can sometimes be a little too busy. That would be the perfect palate cleanser. If you're doing a Christmas market focused trip, it's a lot of Christmas markets, right? So like you want to find a way to break it up a little bit. And I think that taking in some of those like Christmas performances is such a great way to do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. All right. Thanks,
Cool.
as always, Smith.
Thanks, Ange. See you soon.